Well, good morning. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on this, but I bought some hickory floor. Kind of like a laminate. It's like a real wood veneered, waterproof laminate that I got on sale from Home Depot. And that's going to look good. So I think I'm going to put that in today. What I got to do is build out this little area. I'm thinking about 20 inches will be a good measurement, so my countertop will extend 20 inches into this little foot stand. I don't know what to call that, but I'm gonna extend it into there, and then I'm gonna put some standard underlayment all on my floor as far back as I want to go. And what that's gonna do is, this floor is kind of slippery, so it's going to act as a stick for the wood floor. It's also used for sound dampening, but I already got insulation under this, so it's not very loud already. But there's a little stick tape on the edges of this, and it'll stick down nice, won't move, and the floors will sit right on top of that. So let's get to doing that. So I think actually I'm going to come out to this little floor joist I've got, and that's 25 inches. So when the edge of my countertop is sitting on this, it's not going to be just sitting on the styrofoam. I'm actually going to have something to screw it into, and that'll be this steel stud. So I got a 1/2 inch piece of plywood. Put it about here, about an inch off this door, so when this door is shut and I have my finished panels on this, there's going to be a little bit of space between this and the door. So I put it on there, I traced it underneath it, and now here's my line. I'm going to cut it out. Pretty nice, pretty nice. I think my board started off a little unsquare, so there's a tiny little bitty gap, but that's okay. I'm now going to measure from here to here and make blocks that will hold it off this distance. So I drew a mark on here because now I have the idea that I'm going to finish the front of this and the side of this with my floor, so it wraps around and ties in all this stuff, makes it all nice and neat. So I needed to cut it back that much to have my floor as a face of this. So I'm just going to take that much off. So I cut some supports to hold up my piece flush with the floor, and now I'm going to glue and nail each one of these little struts to give me some support for this. And then I'm going to put on some edges, and that'll also give me some support. Did pretty good. Only missed a couple times. Well, now it fits right in there, like so. Works good. Or the groove. That's the tongue. I don't know which one's which, but it fits perfectly right behind this. And it's also perfectly level with that. So minus this little thing, I'm gonna have to notch a tiny little bit. I'm gonna put a piece that width, and it's the perfect height, perfect fit. It's awesome. And then I'm going to put this in there. I haven't put it in there yet, but it butts up to the bottom piece. Then I'm going to have a piece come across here, a piece here, and then my floor is just going to sit on top. And I think I'm going to cover all the edges with that metal, kind of grippy metal L bracket type thing. Now before I leave it in there, it's not going to be attached permanently, but it's not going to move from that position, so it'll be permanently in that position. Before I leave it in there, I'm going to just run some aluminum tape around the edges of it, just to make it waterproof. So if anybody steps in there with a wetsuit or a snow boot or anything and water gets up underneath this, it's not going to rot it or warp it or anything. So just sealing it, making it waterproof. Like that. Seal all the edges. Alright, so I sweeped out my floor best I can. Looks a little dirty just because it was a used floor. But I'm going to put in my standard underlayment. I'm going to put it on, stick it down. And I don't have my little tripod that records my time lapses. So I'm just going to do it. You guys don't really need to see it. So my underlayment's done. I went up on the edge a little bit and I could cut it back once the floor's in. Keep getting stuff on my lens. But a little tip for doing floors. If you have more than one box, I was always told to open up every box and to pick pieces from different boxes. And do not do all one box, all another box, but you scatter it throughout the floor. And here's a good example of that. See, these are more light, these are more orange, and that was a little bit more yellow. See, they're all slightly different. And when you pull it from each box, you're going to definitely get a variety. Not sure why that is. I guess somebody else was on the machine those days and they're doing a little bit more creative work with picking which color floor they wanted to add to the pile. But let's start laying. I found my little Gorilla tripod time-lapse holder thing, so I got a little time-lapse. But I wanted to give you some tips on the wood floor. So these automatically come with a whole bunch of different size pieces. There's like, I guess I found more 3 pieces. There's a really short piece, a medium-sized piece, and then a really long piece. But what you want to do is scatter it in a way where your seams never line up. And there's at least, I always try to make it at least a foot. Some places it's a little less than that, but that's what gives it the best visual effect. And I don't line up the lines if I absolutely have to. I mean, you're gonna definitely run into places where the lines line up, but I try to do it by skipping 2. So there's a line, skip 2, and there's a line, those line up. And by doing that, it gives you your best scattered type of, just regular wood floor look. That's typically how they do it. And it's kind of hard for this phone to pick it up. It keeps changing the color grade of it. When I'm looking at it, it doesn't look as, it looks very detailed, almost more detailed than what the floor actually is, which is kind of weird. Phones usually do the opposite. But I'm liking this. All the colors are matching and looking pretty good. It's kind of the look I was going for. I didn't want any type of rustic look. And usually with oak or maple would have been ideal, because that is a continuous grain and it's all, the same color, so it would have given me a nice light colored floor. But I found this hickory a little bit cheaper, a lot of bit cheaper actually, and I liked the color of it, and I liked how the grains was more straight than kind of wavy, so I chose the hickory. Kind of like what I did on this wheel well. I notched it around this gray piece that was in there, and then I just took it behind those plywood pieces that were in there, and then I brought some down and I 45'd this corner. And then I just ran it back. And I haven't even closed the door yet. I should check that right now. And it just fits perfect. When I was doing it, I didn't want to bury any lines in the ground, just in case I have a leak somewhere. So I just left space on that side, space on this side for all that stuff. And cabinets are going to be going here. So all these little gaps and voids, you're not going to see it. And then my walls are going to go down. I'm going to touch this. I did leave a gap for expansion, just like a typical wood floor. How I'm going to finish this edge up, which is the transition from the main body to the cab. I'm just going to put an aluminum L bracket strip right on there. Left a pretty nice straight edge all the way across. And I'm going to do that same thing to cover up this gap. Hopefully I can find one wide enough for that, because that's a pretty big gap. I might have to finesse that a little bit. But overall, I like it a lot. This is Hickory. Here, I'll show you the company. Wire brushed natural hickory. Home legend. Engineered hardwood. Each one of these boxes contains about, it says 19.6 square feet. So right around 20. But I just had enough. This seems to be a theme for this van, to just have enough to finish it properly. I think that's literally the only scrap I had left. So 2,460 square feet, and I'm gonna tile the back of the van, so I didn't need to go all the way. So in a Sprinter van, if you want to do the entire thing hardwood, you're probably gonna need at least 80 square feet. And that'll get you your entire floor, not including this little area and behind the wheel well and that little area. So about 80 square feet will cover the entire van. Floors are in, and I like it a lot. What's my favorite piece, you might ask?